Hey, DTA Nation, Ted here. We are excited to have Old Southern Barbecue riding with us again for the 2026 season. If you're craving great barbecue in the metro area, visit one of their 5 metro locations, or you can go onto their website, oldsouthernbarbecue.com, and order food from there. In addition, use DTA 15 to get 15% off any of their sauces, rubs, or merch in their online store. Now back to the show.
And welcome to Down the Alley. This is PMAC.
And Ted T.S. Spirides.
And welcome back to Down the Alley 2026, first episode. Going to get the people warmed up. Not a section preview episode. We're just going to get the people warmed up, back in the rhythm of tuning in on Friday mornings with us. But Ted, what are you going to be ordering for the Super Bowl, these playoff? It's freaking cold. What are you going to be ordering for these playoff football games?
You know, our friends at Old Southern Barbecue, they have a playoff platter. It looks pretty good. I just got some pictures from the big man. You get some wings, some ribs, a couple different things. That's always that's always a move.
40 smoked wings, folks. 40 of them.
Yeah, so that's I have my eye on that. I don't know what else we're gonna do, but it's just so cold out and
miserable.
Just honestly just eating barbecue just to soothe the soul from just being so freaking cold might be a good move too.
Yeah, no, it's not gonna make the situation worse. All right, welcome Jeremy James of D1 Training Savage to Down the Alley, local lacrosse dad, now business owner, launching a new facility in Savage, Minnesota. Will be open after spring break, call it April 2026. Jeremy, welcome to Down the Alley.
Hey, thanks for having me on. Honored to be here and glad to participate. Appreciate you.
No, yeah, super excited to, obviously talk training and whatnot, but would love a, quick introduction. Obviously get into the training space, but what's your lacrosse experience been, and what's kind of going on with you and your family in the lacrosse world?
Yeah, so we were longtime baseball family, actually. And we were on spring break, Marco Island, having a blast. Just bought a brand new bat, brought a brand new glove, did all that stuff. My son and I are in the pool. He's a 12-year-old 7th grader, and looks at me and says, "Dad, I don't want to play baseball anymore." And I was like, "All right, I'm not going to push you, but why?" We talked about it, went through this whole thing. I said, "Hey, we're day 1 here on vacation. Day 3, let's talk about it. Tell me the same thing." So he told me day 3, he looks at me at breakfast. He says, "I don't want to play baseball anymore. I want to try lacrosse." And I said, "Okay, tell me why." And he told me why. And I said, "All right, we're good." We landed. We reached out on spring break, to be like, "Hey, can we still try out? Can we get going?" Welcomed with open arms, ran to Shields, bought all the equipment, and we're working on year 2 right now. And I'll tell you what, he could not be more happy about what lacrosse brings to his life, to the constant action in it, the movement. He was a football hockey player, so perfect crossover is lacrosse. And now lacrosse is quickly creeping up his level of almost his favorite sport. So it's been fantastic. So we're working on year 2 with the association, and this will be year 1 with Team 36, and we can't wait.
Love it. No, I feel like that's a very common transition, over from the baseball world and being a multi-sport athlete, like hockey, especially, football too. We got a bunch of those. So, obviously welcomed a family and player like that with open arms as lacrosse does. So glad the experience has been great on all fronts, so far. On the training side, obviously you're launching a new facility. What's been your, experience and background, with that? I heard a little bit of the story, but what's kind of going on with that?
Sure. So this started 2.5 years ago. My son is a little bit on the smaller side for right now. He'll be a late bloomer on the growth chart. So I was looking at, all right, in all these sports, if we're fast, we're good. Football, check. Lacrosse, check. Hockey, check. So then I started researching areas where I could bring him to. And I kept running into a brick wall. At that time, he was 10. We couldn't work out at the big box stores because you needed to be 12 to be on the floor in the free weights. Couldn't work out in any of the other areas around here. There were no youth-based activities. There was ETS, but it's in Lakeville community, right? We're Prior Lake through and through for us. So I wanted to be somewhere local in the area. And so I said, all right, well, there's an opportunity here. My degree is in entrepreneurship from the University of St. Thomas. I said, what problem am I solving for whom? All right, I figured that out. Let's do some research. Year and a half ago, then made the decision to commit to D1 after I looked over 5 or 6 other possibilities, some franchises, and met with the owner, met with the founder, met with the group, met with support, met with everybody. And I just said, this is home. We're doing it. And we've been full steam ahead. And we are meeting with the city on Monday to go over our certificate of occupancy. So we're really close. The why was easy, the how we would figure out. And now it's a matter of, getting the word out there and, giving back to our community that's given so much to us here too, over the last, decades of my life here in this area.
Talk about D1. I remember talking with you a couple weeks ago now. What's their culture like? What's their mission, vision, where, that really got you roped into this is the spot, this is who I want to partner with, and make this whole thing a great experience.
Yeah. So the mission for D1 is to be the place for the athlete, right? And the athlete is defined as anyone that has a fitness goal. Growing up, I played football, basketball, baseball, tennis. College, where we were like, all right, football is the jam. Excuse me. Played volleyball there, and it was all about, I loved working out in that type of atmosphere. Absolutely loved it. And so when I saw the D1, they're like, we're not a facility, we're a community. That's what we want to build the bond. We're not going to celebrate the 300-pound bench. We're going to celebrate the 70-pound kid that just increased his squat by 25%. Right? Everybody wins here at D1. High energy, high community, a lot of philanthropy. There's a lot of also opportunity that I wanted to selfishly bring to the community. We partner with FlexWorks camps. They do all kinds of different sports. We are the training partner and will be sponsoring a lot of these camps. TJ Hawkinson is hosting one here in Minneapolis. Brooks Lee for baseball, Dante DiVincenzo, Julius Randle. On top of that, we also get to be a part of the Manning Passing Academy, where Archie, I should say, started this 50 some years ago. Peyton's taking it on. Eli's taking it on. I can only assume that Arch is going to be there. So every year at the Manning Passing Academy, D1's their official partner. We get to warm up all the youth athletes. We get to warm up with all the pros that are there. We get to lead the energy. So I'll get to bring some coaches, some, maybe some people want to come along. And so this is going to open up a ton of other opportunities for the local athletes around the area. And last but not least, D1 is partnering with Rivals so that we can be the official partner of getting our local athletes their star rating. I know a lot of athletes don't do it here. One, if you're not on the radar right away, the odds are you're going to have to travel to Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, California, one of these areas to go to a Rivals camp to get your star rating so that you can be easily recruited. Where now you will be able to come to a D1, get your official time, get your official all the speed, agility, timings like that, and then Rivals will give you your star rating off of that. So when I heard all of that, and we were backed by pro athletes, Tim Tebow, Chris Paul, Manning brothers, like we talked about, I was like, this is home. It's got to be home. And the culture they create is all about community and, everybody's welcome at D1.
Love it. Love it. Want to, kind of transition this into, how our conversation started of, getting kids in the weight room and all of that. Talk about, for the lacrosse athletes specifically, with kind of our community, our market, this is the perfect time if you haven't started yet, getting in the weight room, starting that off-season plan. Now is the best time if you haven't already. So, what should, players be thinking about this time of year if they're prepping for, call it an April 1st start? What should be the focus?
Absolutely. And if people haven't started yet, right, that's okay. It's okay. It's never okay to not start, but as the old adage goes, when's the best time to plant a tree? 40 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. Right? So let's get going. So what I would highly recommend is, one, focus on getting a plan in place, right? Don't just wing it. Have a plan, have accountability, get into your training program. If you don't have a training program, like, let's talk, right? Free consultations for everybody. It's all about training, getting that accountability. Then you've got nutrition. Nutrition is key. Our youth athletes, one, they don't eat enough and they don't eat the right stuff. Focusing on proteins, healthy fats, healthy carbohydrates, getting enough. They definitely undereat and they expel all this energy. After that, recovery. That's one thing that gets blown away too, right? Actually rest, stretch, work on that mobility. Don't be afraid to take a day off for recovery. That's where the gains are made. The gains are absolutely made in recovery when you're putting all these steps together. Mental preparation, right? Have a plan, have a goal. What is your goal? Say we're doing April 1st. All right. What is my goal by April 1st? Right? And if you don't have a goal, I'll give you one. Here's the simple one. Work on your skill in the rule of 100, right? If you work 18 minutes a day for a year straight, that equals 109 hours. At any skill you're working at, you are going to be better than 95% of the population in that small discipline, whether that be work, lacrosse, schoolwork, anything else. It only takes 18 minutes a day to work 109 hours a year and be better than 95% of the population. So work on that 18 minutes a day. I think we can all do 18 minutes a day. And then, please stay away from the energy drinks. These things, they're driving me nuts. Celebrities are pumping them. They're making a ton of money. I'm a high school football coach here in Prior Lake too, have been for 18 years. We've had kids take pre-workout before a game. We've had kids doing energy drinks before a game, all years past. Your body's already going to get jacked up enough, from the adrenaline. You don't need any of that. It doesn't do you any good. That energy is fake. It's false. It's not real. Stick to the nutrition, stick to the plan, and you will end up where you are. Time on task over time will get you to your goal. I promise.
You brought up 4 or 5 kind of big words or big categories. I want to hit, each one a little bit, as much as we can, within time reason here. But, you ended with nutrition or kind of a nutrition piece. So let's start there. We've got a lot of parents and coaches that listen to this podcast, players too. How can parents and coaches, how can a parent help their player in the nutrition aspect? What should they be looking for at the grocery store? Obviously we're cutting energy drinks. We already determined that. What should we be maybe adding in, to support their athlete?
Sure. Healthy proteins, right? The youth athletes still can get away with some of the fattier ones, the beef, all the other items, but, chicken, salmon, I say salmon with I don't know a lot of kids that like it, but the ones that do, great. Elk is a unbelievable source. Buffalo, bison is an unbelievable source of protein. I promise you, if you make a youth athlete, if they like steak and you don't tell them and you make them an elk steak or a bison steak, you get more protein. It's way leaner. They won't know the difference. And once you tell them they like it, they love it. Like healthy fats, avocados, nuts. We're in a world that is quick grab and go. All these granola bars, goldfish, all this stuff are like, I get it. There's a time and place every now and then, but you can't rely on that. An example for breakfast would be eggs. Eggs and cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, even with a little chocolate granola or something in there to help it with. Lunch, some chicken, any of those proteins we talked about. Having good snacks in there, and then just the goal is to find those healthy proteins, healthy fats, healthy carbs, try everything, see what they like, and then meal prep for them accordingly.
That was
Get a
going to be my
variety
next
in.
thing. Are you a meal
Yep.
prepper? Are you prepping?
Well, yes. However, as a youth sports parent, we're either eating at 2 p.m. or we're eating at 10 p.m.
Yep.
So, prepping is difficult, but yes, it is absolutely important. It's, at the very least, plan for the week, right? Give a variety of breakfast, give a variety of lunch. And the one thing we can't control, right, is what they're eating at school. So I always ask, like, what are the options? What do you have? You can always pack a lunch for them if you choose to. But figuring out what they're at, keeping a food journal is a big deal. I did that for a year myself, and it was alarming, actually, on what you find out, what you think you're doing and what you're actually doing. And then just being open, having conversations, talking about why, consistently telling them, hey, this is your goal. Remember, we put this plan together. Here's step one on how we get there. If we're driving from Florida or to Florida from Minnesota, we're looking at the destination first, and then we're going to figure out the little stops along the way. So our destination is your goal here. Here's how we do it from nutrition standpoint. And then, limit junk food as much as you possibly can. I'm not obtuse to think that we need to eliminate it completely, because it's just not going to happen, but absolutely limit it as much as people can.
One thing you made it you talked about, you did some like journaling or tracking of your nutrition. I'm on a training journey myself, a little over a year now. And I felt like I was working hard in the weight room, cardio, everything, 4 or 5 days a week. And it was like I was making gains, but it wasn't as much as I'm working a lot harder than this, I thought. And I had no basis for nutrition. And finally I decided to start tracking the macros for a couple. I was like, I'm going to do this for 2 weeks just to see. And I think I lost like 15 pounds in 2 weeks. Like it completely transformed my mind. I don't do it as much anymore because it brought awareness to the foods around me, and like now I know what's not good and what's good in general, so I can say like I can have that, but I can't have that every day or whatever. And I think that's a huge thing with generally with the kids that I coach or PMAC coaches or you. They might not be trying to lose weight like us adults are. They're trying to gain weight. And so it's the opposite. They're like, I'm eating a lot, but are they're not, or they're not aware of what they're eating. So I would add to that. If we had this conversation a year ago, I would have probably not even had a rebuttal to this, but now I feel passionate about it. But just try for a week of tracking. Now there's apps that will just log it for you, and it's pretty easy. And I mean, I have one that you can just take a picture of your meal and it will like give you a good estimate and track actually how many calories you're eating. Because if you want to get muscular, you got to eat more than you're burning. So,
Correct.
yeah, I think that's such a huge thing, and I'm excited to hear that there's going to be a place in the community, and that I mean maybe there's others that do it too, but that you're focused on that because you can waste a lot of time in the gym and not get to where you want to go if you're not eating right.
It's really hard to outwork a bad diet. It really is. Now the youth has a little leg up, right? Because their metabolism's way higher and everything, but that also doesn't help them with any gains.
Yeah.
Right. They're taking in 2,200 calories and they're burning 8,000. They feel full, but their body's not growing anywhere where near it needs to grow.
We're talking about, having a nutrition plan, having a program to work off of. And that was, kind of earlier, one of your things that I definitely can tell is part of, what you guys are about at D1. Obviously you don't have to open the whole book, but when you meet with an athlete or a potential, D1, customer, what's generally going to be talked about too, before they even lift a weight. You got to have a plan. What's that initial conversation going to maybe be like for an athlete?
Well, we really dig down into their why. Why are you on this journey? Why are you here? What happened, right? Our goal is to figure out what their motivation is. People are either running towards pleasure or they're running away from pain. So it's, our mission in life here is to find out, why are you here? Right? Did you just get cut from a team and that's your motivation? Be open with us. Great. Let's talk about that. Let's use that as fuel and fire to get you going to on those days where you don't want to work out, right? When you look outside and it's 40 below zero and the wind's blowing and you say, I could just roll up in on the couch here and pull my iPad up. We really want to find out that why. And really the why, not that it's usually never the first answer. It might be the fifth answer they give us. So then we find out the why, and then we want to really dig into what is your history of any type of activity, physical exercise, what sports are you playing, what goals are you trying to achieve, and then what movements do you have? It really comes down to as simple as a lot of kids don't know how to even run properly, right technique. A lot of wasted energy
I
out
didn't
there.
learn to run until college properly.
Correct. Because nobody thinks about it. It's just like, oh, we should be able to do this. Humans have been doing this for thousands of years, running away from animals. I should just be able to run. And there's burnt energy in there. There's a reason that these certain, freak physical athletes that are, world-class sprinters are what they are. One, they do have God-given talents. Two, their technique is flawless. And three, they're not burning energy anywhere else. So we want to start with literally the fundamentals, the basics of everything. And then the group coaching is one aspect of it where everybody's getting coached up, but you are part of a group, right? So it is hard for a coach to monitor 26 athletes at all times. So sometimes that group coaching is not ideal for specific athletes. Then we look at, all right, we do small group coaching. All right. So we've got, a bunch of middies that are like, I love it. They got a great shot. They can pass, they can catch, they can cradle, they can do everything, but they just can't stay on the field, right? Because they just don't have the stamina. All right. Well, let's get our 36 midi group together. We'll create that small group. We get specific training for just those kids on that. And we move forward on there. There's personal training sometimes. I mean, honestly, my opinion is personal training is one-on-one is the best way for you to achieve your goal because it's tailored completely to the athlete. But not everybody wants to go down the path of personal training, and we completely understand and respect that. And then there's just the figuring out what that athlete needs and making sure that all of our coaches know them inside and out and know their why, so that when they see them, we can talk to them on a specific level and, figure out like, how's it going? How are you doing today? How are things happening?
So they
And
get
just
on.
build, yeah.
Oh,
I was just gonna say.
I was gonna try to keep you moving on your thing. They get this program, they're cooking, they're going. Accountability was the next word I heard you talk about. Within your D1 program, how does D1 hold these kids accountable to the goals and keep them going on their mission?
Yeah. So we run in 12-week cycles. Now there's 13 weeks in every quarter, but we run in 12-week cycles because the start of every quarter is testing week. So we have a baseline for these kids, right? In a bunch of different movements. We have timing gates. We're not doing the old school coach stopwatch where there's a big margin of error. We have timing gates. We have force plates. We've got the in-body scan, so we can look at their bioengineered physique and say, hey, like your left leg is 12% stronger than your right. So let's check out and let's see a squat, what's happening. And then you start to see this little technique, right? Where they're tweaking on there. So we've got all the notes. Coaches got all the iPads in there. Coaches are checking in with kids. We're talking about, there will be homework in classes. Like, all right, hey, let's, certain ones that have specific goals, document what you ate this week and let's bring it in. Let's talk about it. There will be constant check-ins. If kids aren't showing up for classes, our coach is going to call them. They're going to be like, hey, what's going on? Sometimes it's just sports or life and family stuff. Sometimes it's like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like going. And then, we got to dig into that. Why? What happened? What came up? How can we get around that? What was the hurdle that you needed to get over to get here? We all know as adults now that getting to the gym is 95% of the battle. Once you're there, it's great.
Yep.
For a kid, there's and then there's just one-on-one accountability. Hey, Last week, you told me that you were going to do X, Y, and Z. Did you do it? Right? Yes, I did. Great. High fives, big daps. Love it. I didn't quite reach it. All right. What happened? All right. How can we eliminate some of those, distractions for this week so that you can achieve your goal? And just and it'll be very personal accountability.
I love the I don't know, emphasis, I guess would be the word on the community aspect, whether that's the community of player to coach relationship or player to player relationship. Um, because there are times in anything hard where you think you're working hard, maybe you don't achieve that goal, that first milestone, or it's taking longer. It always takes longer a little bit than you think, maybe, in anything in life. But the community around you will keep you going through those hard times. And again, from my own personal experience, it's kind of like you go, you might be a little frustrated, you might miss a couple, and then all of a sudden 3 months have passed and you're a completely different person, or you feel like a different person, or you got 100 pounds more on your squat, or whatever your goals are.
Yep.
And it's just so important to have a group of people that you want to go see and be around, because it's a journey for sure.
Oh, for sure. The last kind of pillar that I caught on was recovery. And as an adult, not accountable to a sport really anymore. I lean into that recovery maybe more than I should. But as a coach, it's almost the opposite. Like, you're in season, you're going 6-7 days a week. Like, we probably should do a little more recovery within our program. So, what does recovery look like and sound like, and how should that be structured? And what are D1's thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, with number one, without a doubt, right, is H2O intake. That is one thing that's always overlooked, especially at the youth level. You walk around now, right, for the adults, we're in the Stanley world, right? We're in the Yeti world. We're probably the most hydrated adults that have ever been on this planet. That hasn't trickled down yet to the youth athletes.
That's if they're putting water in their Stanleys.
Yeah, assuming they're putting
that's a
water
big
in the
assumption here.
Yes, right. Now, we're not talking sidelines out there, but yeah, it's honestly, it's get as many ounces as your body weight is, right? So I'm 210 pounds, right? So 210 ounces a day, right? And water is it's just the quick rule that you can play off of that gives you a goal to reach to, right? If a kid's 88 pounds, then let's try to get 80 ounces of water in it all the time. Recovery starts with water. It starts with the 1A water, 1B. I mean, sleep. You got to get sleep. And sleep doesn't necessarily mean getting 8 hours consistently. It means having that consistent routine so that your body can get into its circadian rhythm and go through the normal day. Like, I can get 8 hours if I go from, 9 to 5 a.m. But if I go from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., it's still 8 hours, but my body's not recovering the way it did because I threw off that entire routine.
Are you a Whoop guy or something like Whoop?
No, what's that?
It's like it tracks a lot of it tracks, your fitness, your exercise, but then it does track your like sleep and your recovery. And I'm less than a year like using it and tracking stuff, but the things that you do throughout a day can drastically impact your sleep and your recovery. So it's like, it's been a little mind blowing to me on like, holy smokes. Like, it's kind of crazy.
All these smart devices we have with us all the time telling us what we're not good at, right? It's like, oh man. But it's real life accountability from that too. And yeah, mobility, stretching. I see some of these, D1 varsity athletes that can't even, can barely touch their toes. Like, think about if you had that mobility, foam rollers, mobility, rest, water, and then light movement. Like, actually take it easy on your recovery days. And then still, right, nutrition is still the key. Those gains come from the nutrition, from the rest. We're breaking our muscles down every time we're working. We need to give them ample time to take in that nutrition and grow back stronger. So take recovery, like legitimately take it as important as the workout.
Love it. Love it. That's all I've got. I think that was great breakdown. Ted, if you don't have anything, I just want to say good luck as you're kind of the final stretch here of, launching D1 Savage. I'm excited for you and excited for the community to have what sounds like and seems like a great resource for our athletes and, in our market, our lacrosse players, to get on programs, learn more about, nutrition and get on a plan to, improve themselves, off the lacrosse field.
Yeah, like we can't wait to get open and get people in there and get the community built. And our website's it's built, but we don't have solid hours on there yet. You're not going to get great information from there. How you're going to get great information is by, reaching out through a contact me form, having myself or our general manager, reach out. It's a 10-minute phone call. I know people don't like to talk on the phone these days, right? They want a text, but we can't really deliver the information over the text. And from a physical location, right? We're right on 13 and 101. We are the building attached to the tin shed, right? We took over that old Holiday gas station space.
So don't go there after a workout.
No, not unless you're going for water. Yeah, or chicken. Right. Yeah.
I also want to say D1 Training Savage on Instagram and maybe some maybe other social platforms as well. Seeing some updates about the build out, but I'm sure there'll be information on there too if people want to follow you. And you said going to the website and filling out the contact form is the best way to reach you at this point.
Or a direct message in our D1 Training Savage Instagram, our D1 Training Savage Facebook page. We've got a pretty talented digital marketer on board where, they're creating our TikTok, they're creating our X, they're creating all these items. We want to bring awareness to the people so that we can, help educate. And then if anybody has any questions or, if there's anything that we can do to the community, like, we're all ears. We want to be a resource here for everyone, starting with, and I talked about this with our coaches, like, it's really hard for people to find results for our youth athletes. Like, how'd they do, right? So we want to set up a program where we get one coach that texts us the updates, especially for our members, right? And then we're going to have a weekly update on, hey, congrats to Team 36 in Milwaukee this week. They went 2-0, and and then we'll start being a community resource too, to blast out this information to raise awareness for all of our other programs and the communities that that you guys are creating, that we absolutely love.
Cool.
Love it. Love it. Jeremy, thanks for coming down the alley. Excited for D1 and everything you guys are building out. And, hopefully it'll be an awesome resource for obviously our market in lacrosse, but, all up and coming athletes in the metro area.
Yeah. D1 is sports agnostic until you ask us to be sports specific, and then we have a plan. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right.
We'll
Thanks, Peter.
chat soon.
Thanks, Ted. Yep.
Have a good one.
Bye.
And thank you to Jeremy James of D1 Training Savage for coming down the alley, talking about D1 training, but also talking about all the things that, our lacrosse players across the state should be, thinking about doing, this time of year and the off season as they prep for that tryout, those first games. Champions are built now in the off season. So I thought it was a good conversation. Hopefully a good way to kick off this down the alley season.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked that is kind of almost like a youth focus for training. I think, I mean, I don't know how about you, PMAC, but when I was growing up, the weight room, the idea of the weight room was so different than what it is now.
Yeah.
And he kind of alluded to it of like, oh, we're gonna celebrate, like the 300-pound squat or whatever, and obviously big weightlifting numbers can be a goal for some people. I remember in my high school weight room there was the 1,000-pound club.
Yep.
And I'm sure that's pretty common like across high schools, and that's, to me, that's very football focused. You got squat, deadlift, and bench, and you got to add up to 1,000 pounds total weight or more. And then they had like the records or whatever of these like, famous high school football players at the high school or whatever.
Sure.
And that's kind of like what weightlifting and training was like when I was growing up, was just how much like powerlifting can you do? And I think that's changed quite a bit. We talked to Josh, Fortis Academy about this a little bit, but now Jeremy as well, of you can start the training journey at 8, 9, 10 years old. Like, are you back squatting at that age? No. But there's habits of getting to the weight room, doing it when you don't feel like it, the nutrition aspect, the water, the sleep, all things that now I'm trying to learn to do better as a 39-year-old when I didn't have, I mean, like if I would have learned those things earlier, I don't know, maybe I would or wouldn't have. You can't go back in time, but it's cool that there's going to be an opportunity for younger generations to learn those things and have like a community and a coach to do that with.
Yeah, I feel like you weren't even really allowed to go in a weight room until you were in high school. Like, oh, you're not allowed to go in there. Like,
Yeah, that was like the consensus. Honestly, I think, I mean, I started, I think, going in the weight room my freshman year, sophomore year of high school when I took a weight training class, and that was
right.
kind of the start of it. And I remember maybe even asking my parents about like going to the weight room, or I had a friend who was going to the high school weight room. Can I go with them? And they're like, until you're like a sophomore, when you're fully like physically developed and you've hit puberty. Like I was going through puberty, but I wasn't like fully through it yet. They're like,
Sure.
you can get messed up. Like it's gonna mess up your growth. Don't lift.
Yeah.
That was kind of like I don't know what you call it, the myth or whatever. When
Yeah.
and like they probably weren't wrong from what they knew, in the sense of, yeah, you probably shouldn't be back squatting 300 pounds or
Agreed.
deadlifting without
Yeah.
supervision, because you will screw yourself up.
Right.
Like trying to, match somebody who's been lifting for a long time. So I guess, yeah, long story short, I think it was a good conversation. I'm glad there's more opportunities for younger players, boys and girls, to do that, and start to really learn the ropes, because as you know, me and you have been trying to get back into it as adults, and it
Right.
becomes a lot harder
Yeah.
when those things aren't intuitive.
Yeah. And I just think the programming that they're doing has changed from a place like this, I would imagine. Even like hearing what the NHL hockey players are doing. Like they're not doing the max out back squat in the off season as much as they used to.
Yeah,
Like they're doing more band work and they're doing more explosiveness and they're doing like there's the way training is happening over even the last 5 to 10 years has changed drastically, and it's changing every single year. So,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree. And just the other thing, we didn't really talk about it, and maybe it will come in the newsletter, and I think it's a good topic too. But we've alluded to this in the past, of injury prevention and
Oh
just
yeah.
durability, right? At the high school lacrosse season, like all high school sports seasons are short, but high school lacrosse is even shorter. It's 8 weeks, maybe goes 9 if you go to the state tournament or something like that, but 9 weeks from start to finish. If you sprain your ankle or you get banged up and you're out 2 to 4 weeks, that's half the half the season.
I know.
And like a sprained ankle, you can be in great shape and sprain your ankle. Like you can,
Yeah.
like professional football players sprain their ankle, but there's definitely things that I think you can you can like survive some bumps and bruises and things like that if you're in better condition, and you're not tweaking as much stuff, and the hips and the hamstrings and some of those things. Um So I think even if you're a player that's like, I don't have aspirations to play at the next level, or I don't want to gain weight, I don't want to lose weight, I don't really care about that kind of thing, like simply being on a program for like these next few months leading
Yeah.
into the season, just so you can make it through the season, um, And it's a tough sport. Like, no matter what anybody says, no matter what position you play, it's a tough sport. And so having a program to just get you physically ready to handle the 6 days a week, um, I think is also like could be a really good idea.
I would agree. I would agree. Any other off the field topics that you want to cover here before we, log off?
I we're getting closer to the season. I think college games, some
Yeah,
scrimmages are happening right now. I believe Division 1 college games start as early as January 31st. So
really?
that's kind of week 1 of the college season.
That's exciting. It's gonna be here before we know it.
Yeah, so we're definitely in season now. It does feel a little far away from high school season, but last I looked, it's like 70 days or something like that until the high school season. It,
Oh, for
it it
sure.
feels farther than that. It feels farther away. The weather isn't helping.
Weather definitely isn't helping this week.
But it's way closer than I think a lot of us realize. We do have upcoming our section preview episodes.
Yep.
That will be kind of the next 8-ish weeks, every section. We have a bunch of coaches lined up. Um,
Boys and girls.
boys and girls, similar format to last year where we'll interview the coach. We'll probably do some ranking and that sort of thing. But I think I'm excited to kind of get back into the depths of high school lacrosse. We had a fantastic season in 2025 and looking forward to 2026. If any of the listeners have any questions for a specific section, for just general, you can shoot an email over to us. I can't guarantee that we'll bring it up on the show, but sometimes we've had some good listener questions over the last, you know,
For
couple
sure.
months or whatever. And so, we always like to, provide the value to the listener and what they're thinking, what they're seeing. If you have any insight on a specific team, a specific section, winter league
Storylines.
storylines, winter league results, winter league breakdowns, please send it over. All that information helps us. Um, so yeah, that's kind of my pitch
Yeah,
to
we've got our sources, but hey, the door's
yeah,
open. The door's
yeah.
open, We're open-minded. Um Other content that we're doing, this won't be on the main airways, but we've got the Coaches Box Coaches Hours.
Oh yeah,
Those are going to be starting here soon.
February 6th, I believe, is the first one. So while I look that up,
February 5th, Thursday
yeah,
night.
yep, Thursday night. So we're
So
doing
go ahead.
yeah, no, we're inside of our coaches community, which we've talked about on here before, our online coaches community. We've been sharing a bunch of content in there over the last couple months. We did a coordinator U course where we talked about building and kind of developing your offensive and defensive schemes for the season and kind of the process that we go through to do that. But now we're gonna do some live kind of Q&A webinars. I guess we're calling them office hours. I don't know if that's the right term or not, but it will be PMAC, myself, Coach Clem, maybe some other guests as well. We'll have kind of a general topic, but it really will be Q&A. Would love to have coaches in there. They can ask whatever they want, um, and just try to get some content and question answers out before the season. I think a lot of coaches are, I would assume, in kind of staff planning mode at this point. I know we are. I'm sure you
I
got.
know I am. I got meetings getting
Yeah.
added to my calendar. It seems like every other day. It's just
So
outrageous.
it might be worth it to you to join. At this point, we aren't offering it as a one-off. I don't know, maybe we could do that, but right now,
No.
yeah,
Join the community and then you get
yeah, yeah,
access to it.
yeah. The community's $5 a month, so you'd get even if you only joined for a month, you'd get two of the four. 2 of the 4 office hours.
Right. Yeah.
So, I think for $2.50 for an hour-long webinar with a bunch of coaches and can get your questions answered, it might be worth it to you. I don't know. But in addition to that, there's discussion, there's been posts, there's drills, there's webinars from the last couple months that PMAC and I have done. So there's a lot of stuff in there, and it only gets more valuable as the weeks go on and more content gets added.
If somebody's interested in that, where can they look?
Yeah, they go to STAN.store/36 lacrosse. And I will put a link on our website as well. There's one on the DTA website. There's like a coaches training button in the menu, or you can email or text me and I will send it to you as well. So there's a lot of links, but stan.store/36 lacrosse, and then you'll see all the products. But it's the Coaches Box online community, $5 a month, and we're always putting new content in there pretty much weekly.
Newsletter's been gaining a lot of steam, and that's been fun. I feel like that's starting to gain some traction. If you want to subscribe to our free newsletter, downthealleypod.com, throw in your email at the bottom. And last call for our DTA Invitational, our indoor simulator golf event. We've got over 30 people committed, approaching 40. We've got a couple of team spots here to round out the day. February 21st at X Golf in Apple Valley. Going to be a fun group. We've got people from all over the state, youth coaches, high school coaches, alumni, just all over the place. If you're even somewhat involved in lacrosse, we've got lax dads, like we've got a little bit of everything. So if you're a listener of this, you are very much checking the box to be a participant at the DTA Invitational. Even if you don't want to swing a club, there's a social pass, $20, gets you lunch. You can hang around. We've got raffles and things. So, yeah, should be a really fun day.
We got a sneak peek of the gear, not the coach's gear, the golfer gear package.
I don't have it on me right now. I don't have it on me, but I think a couple pictures have been leaked.
Yeah, a couple pictures have been leaked. I think there's a stocking cap, which is something that we probably need about right now.
I wish I had it.
I don't know, by February 21st, maybe we'll turn the corner into that early spring weather, but knowing I've lived here for 39 years, I would assume there's going to be a cold stretch at some point.
I'll probably be wearing that hat in May this year.
Yeah, probably. So, even if you want to just come and you just want to buy swag, because you like the swag, you're more than welcome.
Be my guest.
So, a lot of stuff going down. Like I said, section previews will begin next episode with section 1, and then we'll be just ripping through the sections and talking about the teams, talking about the players, getting ready for Minnesota High School Lacrosse 2026. I can't believe it's almost here. And that's all I got.
Katie's got something in the crock pot. I'm going to go find out what it is. Everyone, have a great Friday.